Hi, good evening. I'm Andy. Welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. Tonight, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Dave Tattum, musician, singer, and one-time vocalist of legendary British band Angel Witch. Hello, Dave.
Hello there, Andy. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's okay, mate. It's my pleasure.
We've been trying to arrange this for probably over a year.
Yeah.
Viewers of the channel may remember when we started, we had a project between myself, Kirk, and Dave, whereby we were endeavouring to meet some of our musical idols. We've hit some of our idols between us, and you were one of mine. And as I say, pleasure for you to join me here tonight for some questions about mainly your time in Angel Witch, but obviously other things as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay. We'll kick off first of all with you was in Angel Witch in the mid-80s, which is best part of very nearly 40 years ago. Can you tell me what you've been doing sort of musically and personally in those following years?
Yeah, when I left Angel Witch, I hung around in London for a while. I was trying to get a deal. I had a manager trying to get a solo deal, and I was trying to get a band together with Pete Cordelia, and Spencer Holman was going to join, and Dean Howard, who is with, oh gosh, I can't remember now, but he was with. I remember him coming around my flat in Hackney, and he said, "I'm interested." He said, "But I've got to go up to the Midlands." He said to audition for a band, and that band was Tattum, and he got the job.
Okay.
So that went to the wall. And then I came back to North Wales. I joined a couple of little cover bands. Did a bit of solo work doing pubs just to keep me hand in, really. Just doing soul stuff and rhythm and blues around the clubs and the pubs mostly, which was an experience. I can tell you, a very lonely experience being on your own. As I say, I formed a couple of cover bands, and that's about it really until maybe 5 months ago, when I joined Red Zephyr. Really, I saw them asking, looking for a singer. I went up and auditioned, had a couple of auditions with them, and got the job, thankfully. And that's about it, really, in a nutshell.
What sort of style of music do Red Zephyr play?
It's just like heavy rock, really, bit of metal, heavy rock. It's good stuff. I'm enjoying it. It's good. Yeah, but we've just having a little bit of a break for now because the singer's just lost his the guitarist has just lost his mum, so we're just taking a little bit of a break and get back to it when he's ready.
You've been a little bit modest there because I think you've missed out a few things. There was a solo album a few years ago.
Oh yeah. I'm getting on a bit now. I may forget things. Yeah, I did a solo album in Belgium. What it was, Andy. I've been friends with a guy called Dirk for 30 years, or maybe longer. I met him when Spence and he was a roadie for Angel, which went across on holiday. We went on holiday on his motorbike to Italy, and we met these people in Belgium, and I've been going back ever since. And I'm a big lover of the blues. That is my love. And they play a lot of blues in Belgium. So I got friendly with Dirk and his mate Rick Volkart, who's just an absolutely astounding drummer. Anyway, we were in a bar in Leuven in Belgium it was a New Year's Eve, I think it was. No, must have been, it was about 3 or 4 months before we went in to do the album. And he said, "Tati, you fancy doing something?" I said, "Yeah, great." So I wrote some lyrics and he wrote some music, and we just passed it through the internet, And I went over and I did it. I think we did it March or April. I think it was April. I can't remember the year now. Yeah. So, but really, it's totally different to anything I've done before because it was quite self-indulgent, really. The album. It was a lot of the tracks on it about my childhood, and about my first love, the cafe on the corner of the street. About me being abandoned, which is it's just I don't care what I'm going to say. I was abandoned as a baby in a home for unmarried mothers. I was left. Wow. and things like that. So them were some of the songs that I put in there, you know. Yeah, we sold a few, but as I say, when people wanted to buy it, I did explain. I said it's a million miles away from Angel Witch stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But there we go. That was about it, really. And we were going to do something else, Dirk and I, and then COVID hit, and it just went on. He's really busy now, so whether that'll happen, I don't know. Whether we'll do something again, you know. But I've been over to see him a couple of times since. But he's so busy in his studio that I don't think we'll do anything for a while now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something that's not a million miles away from Angel Witch, which we've, you mentioned to me prior to the COVID striking, was you going to put together a lineup or a band that was going to do the Dave Tattum era Angel Witch songs called Dave Tattum's Screaming Assault? Am I recalling that right?
Well, that you know, that is still on my mind. You know, I haven't really. It hasn't gone away. It was going to be Dave Tattum's Screaming Assault, and a guy from Lancaster. I can't. Oh gosh, I'm terrible with names. I'm a friend with him on Facebook. He gave me the idea, and he said you should go out and do this. Anyway, it's so difficult around here, Andy. I don't know what it's like where you live, but I'm at the back of beyond here, you know.
Right.
I know we're not far from Liverpool and stuff like this, but it's very difficult to find musicians with any. I'm not knocking every musician around here with any get up and go. Their get up and go is gone. Yeah, that's why I moved to London years ago. You know, I kept auditioning to get to London when I was a young fella. After being in a band called Bill the Murderer, which was a great band, and we were hoping to move to London, and it wouldn't go. There was only two of us. I went to London, and a guy called Pete Downs, who's just a fantastic guitarist, and he is now. Pete is one of the top self-taught jazz players in the country. You know, he's a really good player. Yeah, so that was it, really. Yeah.
Leads me on nicely to the next question. You obviously moved from your native Wales to London to try and get your music career and get some band involvement going. So I guess you was living in London, but how did you actually get the Angel Witch gig, if I'm sort of phrasing that correctly?
Right. I went to London. I auditioned for a band in London, and I was a bit selfish, really, because they weren't what I was looking for. But they wanted me. And I had somewhere to stay. I stayed with the guitarist. He had a flat in Dalston, so I stayed with him. Anyway, it didn't last long, about 6 months, and it all broke up. Anyway, what happened? The old Melody Maker. I used to get the Melody Maker every Thursday and scroll through the pages and have a look. Anyway, I saw an advert saying the best part of Angel Witch are looking for a vocalist. And the advert was put in by Rob Downing and Dave Hogg. Dave Hogg had the sack by then from Angel Witch. And Rob Downing, I think was one of the founder members of Angel Witch. So I can remember it well. I phoned him up. He said, "You come over, bring an album you like." He said, "We want you to sing along to a song." And I thought, "Oh Christ, what am I going to sing?" So I took an AC/DC album and I sang Highway to Hell. I sang There's Going to Be Some Rocking. Do you know the song? There's Going to Be Some Rocking at the Show Tonight, Bon Scott.
I don't recall that one, actually. I do like Bon Scott era.
Yeah, anyway, I sang it. Title. And apparently they had funny enough, Dave Hogg mentioned it in Facebook a couple of months ago. He said they had about 50 singers went for this job.
Wow.
Anyway, it was down to me and a guy from Scotland. And this is Rob Downey. I love Rob. He's brilliant. He said, and I got the job. And they auditioned us together in one room. It was like something off The Voice, you know. Anyway, he had to sing a song. I had to sing a song. And it was our own stuff, what we'd put to their music, you know. And anyway, I got the job, thankfully. And the next thing I know, Rob comes to me and he said, you know that singer from Scotland? I said, yeah. He said, he was better than you, you know. I said, "Oh, right, thank you." Yeah, he said, "The only reason you got the job," he said, "because you live in London and he doesn't." So, and that was it, honestly. So, he was honest. So, yeah, so I got to know Dave Hogg. We recorded we did some demos. The album's out now, isn't it? The old Blackjack Shellac stuff. Yeah, we did some demos with Mark Durnley, who engineered the Highway to Hell album. And then it all split up, really. We just rehearsed, and it just fell apart. I left, which I should have hung on, really. I think we would have got a record deal, you know. But anyway, I reformed the band, and we were looking for a drummer and got Dave in, Dave Hogg. And we were great mates, Dave and I. Anyway, cut long story short, that band split, and Dave was invited back to Angel Witch by Kev Hayborn. And I went as his drum tech, because I've always been into the drums. I always wanted to be a drummer, actually. But so I went in as his drum tech, and toured with him. And anyway, Kev's voice was going, so I was doing the sound checks for them. I was singing their songs to do the sound checks and what have you, because his voice was shot at the time. And this went on for a while, for a few months. And the next thing, I get a phone call off Kev. He said, "Are you all right, Tatty?" I said, yeah, fine, yeah. He said, "How do you fancy being the singer in Angel Witch?" I thought, yeah, that'll do me. So that's how it happened. Yeah, and the rest is history, really.
Right.
Yeah, and then did the 2 albums with them, toured with them, did the 2 albums and a single, and then got the sack. Kerrang got me the sack. Do you know?
We'll come to that later, if that's all right.
Yeah, go on.
Your sort of departure from the band. Again, you've led me really nicely into the next question.
I do talk a lot, by the way, Andy.
That's fine. That's fine. Absolutely fine. You said...
I've just been funny enough, I'm just about to be diagnosed with ADHD at my age, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah. It's weird, because I like a chat, but there's more to it than that. But come on. Carry on.
I was like, you mentioned sort of Kevin Hayborn, who I'm sure everybody who's watching this will know who Kevin Hayborn is. The founder member, guitarist, leader, vocalist, songwriter of Angel Witch. You said his voice was sort of going on the the sort of period of time when you was joining the band and helping out sort of as the road crew, as it were.
Yeah.
One thing that's always struck me about the period of time that you was in the band is that you wasn't the sole vocalist of Angel Witch. You shared the vocal duties. I mean, from the albums that you recorded, there's some that are obviously your songs that you sing start to finish. Who's to Blame, Religion are examples of that. Kevin, Waltz the Night, and Rendezvous the Blade are solely him. And there's some that you sort of do dual vocals, sort of share the verse, share the choruses, which is Screaming and Bleeding, Straight from Hell, and many others as well.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you this. How did you actually feel about having that kind of setup? Did you sort of ever push the point saying, "Come on, Kev, I'm the vocalist of this band. Why can't I sing?"
No.
Example, I've just listened to the one and only live recording I've got of yourself. Why can't I sing Angel of Death and Atlantis live?
Do you know, I don't think we ever had a conversation about that. It was just, that's how it was. Okay. It was never... No, it was never discussed. It was as if that was going to be the norm. He sang his songs. Yeah, there was no argument. And even when we were writing, and when he was writing his stuff, when we were doing the shared vocals, we worked it out together. In the rehearsal room, we said, "Right, Tatty, you sing that. I'll do this bit." Even in Religion, he comes in on the choruses with me. And that's my song. Yeah. Which the history of that goes back to me meeting up with a born-again Christian who said he was going to pray for me. And I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do, mate. I said, I'll go back and write a song about you." And that was the song, I
think we share the same views on that particular subject. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, it wasn't a problem. It just the norm of how you operated in the studio and on stage.
Yeah, it was never discussed. At the time, and I'm the same now, all I wanted to do was the best for the band.
Yeah.
Whatever was best for the band, I would go along with. I mean, I did have my opinions on certain things, but whatever went with the band, whatever was best for the band, I was up for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mentioned the sort of live recording that I've listened to today. What were you doing during Angel of Death, for example? Were you on stage with a tambourine, or did you?
No, I used to go off.
All right.
I used to get off. Yeah, just get off and let him have the stage, because they were his songs from another era, weren't they? From a different time, So I just felt it was good manners, really, to get off the stage and let him have his moment, because, as I say, they were his songs.
Well, you did. I mean, this particular show, I think, the Marquee in London, 1986. You listen to it again. I obviously made some notes and everything. You done Free Man, which is from
now that
album.
Is weird, isn't it?
You done Angel Witch itself. That particular
you've
done it twice for some reason, which is again very unusual. And Loser. So you did do some of those classic first album Angel Witch songs.
I think it's because Free Man is a bit bluesy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think I may have put my foot down there, said, I'll do this one because that is my first love, really. Maybe I did. I can't. It's such a long time ago, Andy. I can't remember, but maybe I did say I'll do this one. I can't. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good for you. Following on from that, again, these are all flowing really nicely. What would be your favourite songs that you performed live and in the studio? I mean, as you say, Religion, Born Again is. I think you told me they're your lyrics.
Yeah.
That I'm guessing that might be one of them. But what are your favourite Angel Witch Dave Tattum songs?
My own, the ones that I sang with Angel Witch were like Dream World. I loved Dream World. Yeah, I loved singing Dream World. The Undergods. I loved singing the Undergods. Religion, I liked singing. I mean, Who's to Blame? That was one of mine. I liked singing that. There wasn't many songs I didn't like to sing, but I thought, because Kev had already written the songs for Screaming and Bleeding, except for Who's to Blame, because we just needed a filler. And funny enough, it opened the album, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I had lyrics for that, and I had a melody. Well, he had the melody, and it just fitted. But yeah, I mean, but the only thing with the Screaming and Bleeding album, with Angel Witch, Kev's songs on that, I thought they went on too long. Because I did say to him when we were writing, or when we were talking about the Frontal Assault album, I did say to him, I said, just get in there, tell them the story, and get out. Don't repeat the first verse at the end. There's no need. You've told them the story. There's no need to tell them the verse again. And if you look at the Frontal Assault album, the songs are shorter. They just get in, and I enjoyed that album more, really, than I did the Screaming and Bleeding album, because I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't have a lot of time to get myself sorted for that album. It was not weeks, I think, before we were in the studio, And to this day, I wish I could go back in. I've got my dog with me. I've got my dog here. That's what And yeah, I wish I could go back and re-record that. I think I could have done a better job. Yeah.
I mean, you say about weeks preparing. There's less than a year between the two albums, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Which, again, is very unusual.
Yeah.
Following on from favourite songs, if anybody if anybody cares, or if even you care, two of my favourites, I think, are, and it relates to the storytelling that Kev Hayborn puts into his lyrics, is "She Don't Lie." I mean, you can.
Oh yes.
Visualise the story and exactly what's happening in that one. That is a fantastic song, and "Waltz the Night" as well.
Yeah. Guillotine, I like Kev singing as well.
Yeah.
When we did it on that was a good song Kev sang. But Kev is a great songwriter,
Yeah,
and a great lyricist. He used to read a lot, and he's a good. Well, we know what kind of guitarist Kev is, what kind of musician he is, but he is a good lyricist, and he, the way he puts songs together, I used to enjoy. It's really good, enjoyed it.
I mean, I'm really pleased that a couple of songs from your era have sort of resurfaced. Waltz the Night, the lyrics have been incorporated into a new arrangement in a song called Witching Hour. I don't know if you know of that. And
No.
Guillotine has also been re-recorded on one of the later albums as Guillotine rather than Rendezvous with the Blade. And I think there's a couple of others as well. So, because I've seen Angel Witch sort of from 2015 onwards a few times. Your songs never featured, which was really disappointing. No. But I've heard live recordings of Kev singing like Frontal Assault and Screaming and Bleeding.
Yeah.
So he didn't completely dismiss them, but it's just a shame. I know they're very different from the first album, but we're talking now because they are two of my favourite albums of all time. Yeah.
Well, Kev has dismissed the two albums. You can't even get them on Spotify or anything. He's dismissed the two of them, which is a shame, really.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people do like them. I get messages on Facebook. I
think they're in full on YouTube.
You can get them on YouTube. Yeah. Some of the comments on YouTube are quite nice as well. I shouldn't read the comments really, but I do read the comments, and some of them are quite nice. They say some nice things about me, which is good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in time wise, I think I'm right in saying your career with Angel Witch was sort of 2 or 3 years. But in that time, how many shows did you do, and where did you tour? Did you go overseas at all?
Well, my last gig with them was the Eindhoven Festival. What was it called in Eindhoven?
Dynamo.
The Dynamo, yeah. And I only did one song. I come on and did the encore. I went with them and did that encore, and that was my last showing. God, I can't.
Why was I was going to ask that as a sort of standalone question, but why? I've got that recording downloaded as well, and I'm what's the story there briefly? Why did you just appear for Loser?
Well, it was weird. We were still friends, and I was invited to go over there with I think it was Pete Gordillo. Well, I went in Pete's car. I think Kev was with us as well. We all went in Pete's car, and I was invited. Do you want to come along? I said, yeah, go on then. I was doing nothing else, so I came. I mean, there was no animosity really between Kev and I. So I just ended up there. It was a weirdo to do, and it was a very strange situation there, because the guy from Lars Rocket was there, their manager, and I think, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm not sure whether he had something to do with Angel Witch going back to a 3-piece and going to the States,
right.
Which I was gutted really, because I missed out on that. I would have loved to go. I got my passport ready and everything to go, and I missed out on that. But there we go.
Yeah, I mean, again, leaves me nice to the sort of. Just quickly, do you know how many sort of shows you did roughly, and whether you got distracted, sidelined?
I know we did Scotland, we did Wales. We were supposed to go we did England. No, I couldn't tell you. Do you know, I was looking. I've got all the itinerary and everything in a suitcase in my loft, all the old Angel Witch stuff. So if I should have got it out, shouldn't I? I can't remember actually. There's quite a few. Yeah.
Might well be on the internet somewhere. There is a website called setlist.com, I think, where
there we go.
You pick a band and somebody's very kind. People who contribute to the site have added their information about where bands have played and even sort of songs that have played at each particular show. So maybe on there somewhere.
I've still got some of Kev's old lyrics. Parts of songs handwritten. Fantastic. Yeah, is in his handwriting. There we go.
Okay. You mentioned Dynamo show and you sort of coming on for one song.
I just came on for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Loser. Yeah. Loser. It was appropriate, wasn't it?
Yeah. Too harsh. I guess that was after your departure. Do you mind me asking about how and why you were dismissed from the band, if that was the right term?
Now, yeah, no, yeah, I was dismissed. Sorry?
Was it Kev's ambition to go to America at that point? Because I know that was sort of in.
No, I'll tell you what it was. I'll tell you what it was. They Kerrang reviewed Frontal Assault. They reviewed it, and the last paragraph in the review said, and you know, I had the Kerrang somewhere. It's in this house somewhere. Anyway, and it said the powerful vocals throughout this album lead me to believe that Dave Tattum is wasted in Angel Witch. So anyway, about a few days later, Pete Cordelia phones me up. He said, we're going for a drink. He said, hey, Tatty, you're going to leave, aren't you? I said, what? He said, sorry, it was a day after or 2 days after. I hadn't read Kerrang. And he said, you're going to be leaving, aren't you? I said, no, why? He said, have you read Kerrang? I said, I haven't, no. He said, well, read it. Anyway, I spoke to him. I said, I'm not leaving. Anyway, 2 weeks later, Kev phoned me up and dismissed me. He said, you're not really fitting in. I said, Christ, Kev. I said, I've done 2 albums with you. We'd also started rehearsing new songs. And then I get this phone call out the blue. It was I really, really wasn't expecting it. It was a bit of a shock. In fact, it was such a shock. I was quite calm because I thought, no, this can't be right. And that was it. Really, it was out of the blue. Decided that I didn't fit the band anymore.
Everything I'm discovering is just so out of the norm from your usual band. You've been fired because you're too good.
Well, I say that. Perhaps he didn't. Perhaps he
Kerrang said it, didn't they?
Yeah. Kerrang said it. Yeah. And that's all I wanted to do, Andy. I wasn't in there for my own gratification. All I wanted to do, and that's why I didn't do much after Angel Witch, because I'd given them everything. I couldn't give them any more than I'd give them. I lived and breathed the band. So to get a phone call like that was quite a shock, really. Knocked me about for a while. I just didn't want to do anything, just didn't want to be in another band. And I think that's one of the reasons I decided to come back home. And I'd met my wife, actually. I'd come up for a weekend, because this is where I'm from, this area. I'd come up for a weekend, met my wife in a pub, been out with my mates, and we started seeing each other. And in the end, after about 12 months, I thought, look at it, I'm going home. And I came home, that was it, really.
You mentioned just then it was a devastating shock to you about being dismissed, but you were looking at sort of new material. What songs were there? Because there's a big gap in there between your era and the next sort of Angel Witch releases. Was it something like Psychopathic? And
I can't remember. I just can't remember. And I know Kev. I remember him saying to me, I think it was happening then. There was something in the air, because he started writing songs and playing them in the studio in a higher key than I usually sing in.
Okay.
And I think he was trying to get me to either strain. And I remember him saying, Jesus Christ, he can hit that one. And I think about a week or so later, I was gone. But I was like a fool, really, because I was saying, hey, what we're going to do now? What we're going to do now? And I just wonder whether it was in his mind then,
Okay.
But hey ho. And he did. I met Kev about, I'd moved back home here. I'd met Kev in Spencer Holman's wedding. Sorry, Andy, I've got a dog. Go down, go on. Look here. I got Staffy. Once he's gone now. So I met Kevin at Spencer Holman's wedding. I was invited, so me and my she's my wife now, me and my girlfriend went down there. And he came to the bar. I was by the bar getting a drink, and he came up to the bar and he said, "Oh, hi, Tatty." I said, "All right, mate, yeah, how's it going?" He said, "All right, yeah." He said, "Tatty," and he said the words, he said, "I made a terrible mistake, mate." I said, "It's a bit late now, Kev, innit?" So, and that was it.
Yeah.
But we were okay. We were okay. You know, there was no animosity. There was no bad feeling from me because he'd give me a chance. You know what I'm saying? He'd give me a chance. You know, I'd sang on 2 albums with him. I toured with him. So, you know, I was quite grateful really for that chance, you know.
Yeah.
And I met Dave Ogg, obviously one of my best mates at the time. Well, he still is a great mate, you know.
Right, we're nearly come to the end of our time. I just got one more question.
Yeah.
Here we are, the 2 albums.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on these rather erotic?
Well, I've always said
semi-naked Gorgon, Medusa.
I know. Have you ever asked Pete Cordelia about it?
No.
He'll turn the hair blue when he had a face-to-face argument with Terry King, the manager, over it. I've always said it looks like some sixth former's done it.
It looks like
you know, it looks like some sixth former has drawn it. You know, in art class in school. No, they're not.
See, I think the images are pretty good. I like the covers.
Do you?
Yeah. What I was going to say was,
you wouldn't get away with it today, would you?
No, you wouldn't get away with it today. My first sort of encounter with the band is when I was on holiday with my parents, probably Weymouth or somewhere, when I was about 14. I came across this, not this one, sorry,
right.
Screaming Assault. Sorry.
Yeah.
Screaming and Bleeding
in
a seaside gift shop. It wasn't a record shop, and it was
wasn't in the bargain bucket, was it?
No, it wasn't in the bargain bucket. And I was just getting into Iron Maiden and AC/DC, and obviously you draw to the cover.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it because I thought my parents would absolutely go mental seeing that cover. So it kind of delayed my introduction to Angel Witch until I came across the 1989 live album.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously, it spanned from there.
Mm.
Okay, Dave, we're going to have to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for your time.
There's lots more to tell, you know. There's lots more to tell.
Perhaps we could have a part 2 in a few months. But
whenever you like, mate. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Andy.
Thank you very much.
It's nice to put a face. And we've spoken on the phone before, haven't we?
I think we have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to put a face to the voice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah. Okay, man.
That just leaves me to say thanks again to Dave. And if you've enjoyed the video today, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you on another video very soon. But join me, Dave and Kirk, for one of our weekly updates very soon. Thanks very much. Goodbye.